I request Mr. G B Singh, the Chief Editor, Security Today, for his intervention.
Okay, now let him go. इनको लीजिए. इनको यहाँ से लीजिए.
Good afternoon.
Camera, mic.
Good afternoon. Are the batteries low? Back there, am I audible?
नहीं उनको अभी क्वेश्चन आ रहा है.
कोई बात नहीं. क्लिकर कहाँ? किधर जाएगा?
उनको लीजिए.
My chair, co-chair, fellow panelists, my seniors at IISSM and colleagues at ISSM, Shri G K Singh, who's been a mentor and advisor to our publication for over a decade. Ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed an honor to be standing before you this afternoon, although the position is not too good, as the second last person between you and a sumptuous lunch. However, I will just take 5 to 7 minutes. We've been hearing about a lot of disaster, climate change, environment, how it's changing. I, being a hardcore security guy for the past 30 years, will try to bring together where corporate security plays a role in all this, which is relevant to the theme of this seminar as well. So before I start, if I may understand, how many, if you can raise your hands, how many guys are from safety? Okay, that gives a fair amount of. How many are from security? Quite a few more. How many are from fire protection? Okay. And how many are concerned with environmental safety? Okay, so there are some. So we have a good composition of people in this hall today. Environmental, social, and governance risks have become much more prevalent over the decade. What might have been once been considered extraneous sustainability concerns are now viewed as business risks, integral to the company's strategy and success. So today we are talking about companies being responsible for the environment as well. In the ESG, we have the environment, governance, and social. We can have the spot monitor going on, please. And as we can see, there are quite a few things, not many, which a regular corporate security guy would correlate with in this list of ESG. We are talking about risk mitigation, we are talking about data privacy, we are talking about social norms, we are talking about bullying and harassment at place of work. I think most of these things do traditionally have been concerning us, but where does the larger aspect of environment coming? Well, as the world moves on, there was a survey in 2021 done by PwC, which says that the question was, I am more likely to buy from or work for a company that stands up for. So when it was environment, there were 80% of consumers which says they would like to buy from companies which are concerned about environment. 76 in the case of social norms, a company that follows social norms. And 80% a company which is ethical and has professional governance. Similarly, people were asked, would you like to work for a company which is concerned about the environment? 84%. In terms of social, 83% and 86%. So this was a survey across different continents done by PwC, where the awareness about this whole gamut is coming in. So where does the corporate security guy come in? We see positions of chief financial officers, chief risk officers, chief sustainability officers, chief compliance officers, and other C-suite executives shaping ESG strategies. But security officers are often missing from these discussions. Why is this, and does this make sense? Because when any disaster happens, the first responders at an industrial site happen to be the security guys and the safety guys who might be there. So can they be aloof from all these discussions which are taking on? I think time has come when corporate security needs to elevate itself from its traditional guards, guns, and gates strategy and move on into larger orbit of risks. As risk gets more complex, and which often may have the roots in climatic changes, social linkages and factors not directly controlled by the business. Success of a business depends on a company's ability to recognize that the activities they are performing are more uncertain, complex, and therefore even riskier than anything that they have experienced in the past, and their own ability to cope up with them. Managing huge range of risks that corporations face is certainly not getting easier. Rather, it's becoming more complex, and as more regulations and legislations add additional challenges to the business of doing business. In such an environment, the role of the corporate security function gains strategic importance as it transforms into being a business partner working seamlessly with other functions to identify and manage risks. So we are talking about from being reactive to a disaster, we are talking about being proactive. And we are talking about being prepared for that disaster to occur. So what is ESG and corporate security, and what is the linkage between them? The security risks to business rarely exist in isolation. They are often the results of various factors, including threats, opportunities, and changing environments that contribute to uncertainty. The role of the corporate security in ESG initiatives involves several key responsibilities related to sustainability, corporate social responsibility, risk management. ESG is a framework where that assesses a company's performance and impacts in three areas, which is environment, social, and governance. Without getting into these aspects, which I'm sure due to paucity of time, I will try to skip that aspect. I would like to just say that the climatic change is described as a threat multiplier, in that it intersects other factors to contribute to security problems. However, the same can be said with regards to other ESG risks, as the links to security are many. Areas with increased poverty generally have higher crime rates. Companies that suffer negative publicity around business practices are at great risks of protests, unrest, and activist investors. Companies causing the environment impacts face a greater threats from sabotage, crime, disruption, and protests. So this is a no-brainer, and it's happening more now than before. Our lives are increasingly touched by the impact of climate change and the occurrence of disasters, both large and small, from pandemics to earthquakes to droughts, to heat waves, tsunamis. We've heard them all from our previous speakers. And it costs us 3% of our GDP annually. The need to address these issues holistically is clear. We must create a robust framework of sustainable growth and development that can withstand the shocks of the 21st century. This is not just a challenge for India, but for the entire world. In a world confronting extraordinary difficulties, we must meet to resolve the crucial issues of climate change, disaster management, safety, and security. The importance of making thoroughly examined methodologies and executing them carefully and collaboratively with all stakeholders, including the government for sustainable development and building resilience, is what we need today. The intersection of disaster management, climate change, and security has become an increasingly significant concern. The interplay between these factors has far-reaching implications for the safety, well-being, and stability of communities and nations. In the end, companies with poor ESG performance face a variety of threats linked to their low performance. As such, security needs to understand ESG challenges that companies are facing to be aware of threats. Security professionals need to be aware of ESG climate to identify opportunities and work on these opportunities to make their companies and societies more resilient. Security professionals who engage with the social community can develop information networks and can better understand the threats that can evaluate local sentiment when we talk about the social norms in the ESG equation. Working with business partners can make these relationships particularly positive. Similarly, relationships within businesses can help security leaders identify the ESG-related threats, including the health and safety and environment sustainability practitioners. They may make strange bedfellows, actually, for many security professionals, but these are key business stakeholders in understanding the ESG risks and together their impact on protecting the assets of any organization. Lastly, ESG considerations extend to a company's supply chain as well. Assessing ESG practices of suppliers can help prevent disruptions and security vulnerabilities in the supply chain, while the corporate security managers continue to collaborate with other business units and define their roles in the overall ESG strategy of their enterprise. So I have cut short my talk, and I hope I've not taken much time, sir.
Thank you very much. GB, thank you very much for that.